Hello, this is the Radiogeek, and I'm here today to talk to you about a digital multimeter that I got. This is a relatively inexpensive one. It's a Sinometer VC97, and one of the reasons I got it is I was looking for a multimeter with a larger display, and this one actually will read RMS voltage on the AC range, which for this meter in this price range is pretty good. This meter on Amazon is about $35–36, so it's pretty cheap for an RMS capable meter. If you're not familiar with what RMS will do for you, if you're trying to check, say, the AC output out of a DC to AC inverter, if it's a cheaper one, it'll be a modified sine wave, and if you check it with just a regular non-RMS voltmeter, it won't read the correct voltage. It'll be off. If it's supposed to put out, say, 115 volts or something, it might read into the 90–95 volt range. So with the RMS capabilities, it'll give you the correct voltage. Anyway, that's really beyond the scope of this little meter review here. But let's take it out of the box. I've had it out before, but this isn't really an unboxing or anything. It's just I had put it back in the box. So basically, when you look at stuff online, it's really kind of hard to judge the size of something, and this guy here is pretty good sized meter. It's a handful. Just put it up on a stand here, and we'll show you what you get with the meter. You get the meter. You get a set of probes. The probes are, you know, they're kind of cheap, hard plastic. The cabling is just probably PVC. It's not really written anywhere on here what the cable is. But, you know, it's a $35 meter, so you can't expect too much. It comes with a temperature probe, thermocouple, and it came with a battery here. It's a Get Top by High Watt. So yeah, I didn't put this in the meter. I got a good Duracell battery and put it in there. I don't like these cheap heavy-duty batteries, and I didn't really want them leaking in my meter when I leave it in there for 6 months, so I just didn't put it in. But it does come with a battery. It also comes with this oh, I don't know what you call it, adapter, I guess. The meter has transistor checking capabilities on it. You plug this thing, I don't know if you can see it or not, you plug this thing into the meter and you plug your transistors in there, and it's supposed to give you the HFE reading of the transistor. Pretty much any multimeter that has a built-in transistor socket is usually regarded as pretty low quality, pretty much junk. This one actually has a little adapter that plugs into the meter. It's very poorly made. The sockets look really bad. I don't think I'm ever going to use this or the transistor feature of this meter, so it'll probably just stay in the box. But yeah, that's pretty cheesy there. It does come with some kind of a manual. It is English, and it's just a fold-out like map style that unfolds, and it's got instructions on both sides. The English isn't too bad. It's probably okay. It's probably okay manual if you've used a digital multimeter before and you know what the features are and the capabilities of most multimeters, it is probably okay for that. But if you have never had a multimeter before, it's not really that in depth, and you might have a little difficulties understanding some of the things in it. But all in all, it gets the job done. It tells you what the ranges are and the capabilities and things like that. I would say overall the build quality of the meter is pretty good. It feels pretty solid. It's, you know, it's not the greatest plastic, but it's built all right. The red part here is kind of like a bumper, and it fits on really nice. There's a nice groove channel here that fits right into, so it fits really nice and tight on the meter itself. So that's kind of nice. It has the standard stand here, and this is one screw, and then this battery compartment opens and you can get the battery out. There is no fuse access in the battery compartment. I'm assuming you'd have to take the rest of the meter apart and take the back off to get to the fuses. I haven't opened it up or looked on the inside. I'm assuming that, you know, for a $35 meter, its input protection is probably limited. I'm just going to use it for electronics work, you know, stuff, you know, probably under 30 volts, stuff I'm messing with. So not a big deal. You can probably occasionally, you know, measure your socket outlet or something like that, but I certainly wouldn't be climbing up any telephone poles and measuring voltage inputs to the transformer coming into your house or anything like that. Basically, if you're just going to use it around the house and you're going to use it for electronics, it'd be great for that. But if you're going to you know, get into being an electrician or working inside of electrical boxes and things like that, definitely spend a lot more money than this if your life depends upon it. But you know, all in all, it is a nice meter. Some of the functions that it has obviously, I talked about before, the true RMS capability. It going down a scale here, it has settings for millivolts, AC volts, DC volts, ohms or resistance, diode testing, continuity, capacitance. It'll measure frequencies, and then the HFE is for that transistor socket deal that's supposed to plug in here. It has temperature, Celsius or Fahrenheit, and I think when it's on there the default is Celsius, and you can hit the select button to get the Fahrenheit. It'll measure microamps, which is nice for electronic work, milliamps, and regular amps. And then there's another off position on this side as well. Here you have your 10 amp range here, and it says that it's fused, 10 seconds maximum for 10 amps. And then the milliamp range is also fused, and it's 400 milliamp fuse in there. And I assume that would be the same point you would have if you were checking the microamps as well. And over here you have your socket for your volt ohms, frequency, diode check, continuity, capacitance, and temperature. So temperature goes between here and the common as well. And then it just says true RMS right there. You have a select button for selecting between modes. It is auto ranging, but you can put it into manual mode and toggle through those. It has, when you push the range button, that is. And then it has a rel function, which is handy if you're going to say measure capacitance, and your meter is not reading 0 because it's got the capacitance of the leads that you have plugged in. You can hit that rel button, and it basically zeroes it out. Anything that was on the meter reading, it would zero out, so it would be 0 from that point on. So it eliminates that extra capacitance of the leads or resistance if you're measuring some low resistance. So that's kind of a really nice feature. And then it does have a backlight and a hold function, which will basically just freeze the display and keep that reading on the display. And then you have to hit it again to unlock that so that it'll continue reading if you want to continue on from there. I guess we'll turn it on and just take a look at the display. The display is really nice. It's big and really clear. I'll show you that. I'll just put it on a resistance, I guess. And that is one other thing that is annoying about this particular meter, and I've noticed a few other ones do it too, is every time you change to a different range, a different mode, it'll beep. It's like right now I'm on resistance, and I'll move it. Every one that I move on, listen to it. So if you're way over here and you want to go to resistance, you gotta listen to that. But I didn't find any way to defeat that or turn that off, but it would be nice if you could. I don't know about the camera angle here, but I think it looks okay on camera, the display. You can see it's rather large, big display. And get some, we'll put it on the millivolt range. It'll just kind of float around there because there's, you know, looking for a low voltage and there's nothing plugged in, so you can see more of the digits that way. We'll turn the backlight on. That is really nice. That is a very nice backlight. I think it stays on for 10 or 15 seconds, which is okay. It'd be nice maybe if it was a little bit longer perhaps, but not bad. You basically just have to hold it in for, I think it's 2 seconds for it to turn on, and you can do that again to turn it off if you wanted it to turn off sooner. If you just hit it once like that, it'll just hold, and it says hold at the top, and it just freezes what the display was there. Hit it again, it's not on hold anymore, and you just hold it in, and then the display is backlit, which is really nice. So let's say you were going to measure some super low voltage and you had this on your screen. If you hit that rel function, then it just zeroed it out from that point. And it'll say rel at the top when it's in that function, in that mode, and you hit it again and it's off. It's back to auto. Let's see, we'll be in the resistance range right now, so it's auto. So whatever you're measuring, it will auto range that. So depending, it just steps through each mode and finds the mode that it needs to be in, the range that it needs to be in rather, to take that measurement. So when it's in auto range, it does take a little longer to settle down and take a measurement than it does if you manually select the range by hitting the range button. So like right now it's just on ohms, low ohms range, then it's kilo ohms, and there's a few, you can see the decimal point moving around, and then it goes to the mega ohm range. And then if you just hit it or hold it in rather for a couple of seconds, it goes back to auto. So now it's auto ranging again. So let's hook up the test probes here real quick. Like I say, they're kind of a little on the plasticky cheap side, but they're okay. I mean, for the meter, they're fine. There we go. Okay, so now we're on resistance, and put these together. Okay, so now see how we have that 0.2 or 0.3. If you really wanted it to be 0, you just hit that rel function, and now it's zeroed out. So now that when you make that measurement, you won't have that extra, you know, 0.002 or whatever it was. when you take your measurement, it should be on 0. See, now it's 0 because I rolled that out. But if I don't have that enabled and I put these together, you see you get a little bit there. Probably for this application it wouldn't be a big deal, but that's just how the rel function works. The continuity function is not too bad. It's missing a few, but not bad. The buzzer's nice and loud. So yeah, that works great for that, for continuity testing. And like I say, if you had some nicer probes in here, it would probably be a lot better as well. So what are the good points and the bad points of this meter? Well, the good is going to be your price. It's like a $35, $36 meter. It's true RMS. It's got a very nice backlight for sure. Oh, the diode testing is a lot of these meters, diode is primarily just for testing regular diodes, but you can test LEDs with them, and a lot of these meters only put out like 1.5 volts, so they can only light like a red LED, but they can't write some of the other colored LEDs that there are, like white ones and blue ones and things like that. And some of them will just light them, but they won't tell you what the forward voltage drop across them are. This one is really good at that. It can light a white LED with no problems, and it will give you the voltage on the meter. So I was impressed with that, because that's kind of unusual to find that. And I did check the voltage output of this meter when it's in the diode check mode, and it's putting out 3.28 volts, which is really good for lighting up the white and the blue LEDs. So that's nice. That's a nice feature. Big display, that is really nice. It's got auto off. It'll turn off itself within 15 minutes. It'll make some beeps and warn you, and then it'll make one final long beep as it shuts off. So that's kind of a nice thing. You can hold down the select button when you power it on to disable that auto off thing. So that's good that you can disable that if you want to. I guess the negatives would be that junky 9-volt high watt battery. The probes are kind of, they're okay, but they're kind of cheap. They could have been a little nicer, but I guess for the price, that's probably what you should expect. And another negative, I guess, would be is this beeping every time you change the range of this thing. Is kind of annoying. The manual is kind of weak. It doesn't have a lot of details, and it's kind of a small print manual. It's kind of harder to read, I guess. And where'd that thing go? Yeah, and this thing here is just absolutely horrible, pathetic. I would be embarrassed to include that in with a meter, but yeah, I'm not using this, and yeah, that's a negative. And then it runs off of a 9-volt battery, which isn't my favorite battery of choice. I think some of the meters now are running off of double A's or triple A's, a couple of those, and that's kind of nice and more convenient. You get a lot of hours out of the meter with those type of batteries. However, I guess the advantage of the 9-volt is it can put out more voltage for that diode test that I was talking about earlier, that 3.28 volts. So I guess that's a good thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's the Sinometer, Sinometer VC97, Victor Charlie 97. It's on Amazon. It's a very nice meter for the price. I really like the display, and the backlight It's really nice. It's a little bigger than I kind of thought it would be, but yeah, it's good for the electronic lab and taking some measurements, and yeah, I like it. I think it's going to work out well. I did check it. I have access where I work for a couple of different fluke meters that are calibrated on an annual basis, and they were both recently calibrated, and one was a fluke 87.5 and one was a fluke 117. I had those two and this, and I checked voltages from a variable power supply, and they all tracked right on with each other. Checked some random resistors and some random capacitors and some diodes, and it's right in line with those two flukes, so no problem at all. It works great. It's really hard to make a bad multimeter. They have these chips that are basically a multimeter on a chip, and there's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 different companies, Chinese companies, maybe Taiwanese companies that make these chips, and they all these meters kind of use the same chips in them as far as determining what the readings are going to be. So they're all pretty accurate unless, you know, they were damaged or something in transit. I had one meter that I had ordered on Amazon that was had lots of features, but it was way off. So I guess you can get a bad one, but this one's nice. It's got a lot of neat features, and looking forward to putting it through its paces and using it. So if you're interested, like I say, it's available on Amazon, and I believe on eBay as well, although I think Amazon has a better price than eBay last time I checked. So until next time, this is the Radio Geek.